Mr. Kamani, did you have an announcement for Daly?
No, Your Honor, I haven't spoken to Mr. Daly yet. I've spoken to Travis Johnson.
Johnson, okay. Did you have an announcement for Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor. He's going to plead no low.
Okay. All right, Mr. Resto. So, Mr. Resto, you have two cases. You have you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
I hear you.
So you're before the court on 2019 CR 04954 for driving on a suspended or revoked license, no license, failure to display license, failure to have license on person. I'm not sure it cuts off, and no tag or expired or invalid tag. So that's on the first case. On the case from 2020 03114, you have a suspended or revoked license. You're represented by Lister and Holt on one of the cases, but not on the other. Did you want Lister and Holt to represent you, or did you want to represent yourself?
I represent myself.
On both cases?
Yes, ma'am. I have a quick question as far as law term when it comes to driver's license.
Okay.
Okay, you're only allowed to have one driver's license, and I have an Alabama driver's license. So when I get pulled over, I actually show them my Alabama driver's license, and it's current. It's the most current, and so they make a determination if they should go off the Georgia driver's license or the Alabama driver's license. And when I present the Alabama driver's license, they let me go because my Alabama license is valid, and you're only allowed to have one. And I had Alabama license first, so my Georgia driver's license.
Not guilty.
Okay, so Mr. Resto, what Mr. Taylor is saying is this is something that you could prove at trial. If you present that information at trial, then that means you want to go to trial instead of taking a plea. I don't know what the recommendation is, and I don't know.
Well, the recommendation was, I think I've been dealing with this case for an awful long time now, so yeah. I don't really want to go to trial. I just want to get it behind me. But I think that the recommendation, I remember the recommendation quite clear. They offered me 40 hours of community service. Is that still on the table?
Okay, no, Mr. Resto, it's more than that. So let me explain why I know it's more than that. Because you have two driving on a suspended license charges. So if you have a NOLO available to you, the basic fine for driving on a suspended or revoked license, just hear me out. I'm going to explain what the recommendation might be based on. So the basic fines and fees for driving on a suspended license is the first time in 5 years. If you get one, then you can enter a NOLO plea if you have a NOLO plea eligible to you, and then the fine is $500. But if you get a second one, the fine goes to $1,000. A third one, the fine goes to $1,500 and 10 days mandatory jail time. So the fines go up by, I think, $500 every time you get one within a 5-year period. Now, I may be wrong. Mr. Taylor can correct me because it's hard to keep all of these statutes in my head. But you have a second one, which means that you might be able to enter a NOLO to the first one, but then the second one is outstanding. So when you took a plea to the second one, that would definitely suspend your license. So that's what's on the table is so when Mr. Taylor says it'd probably be better for you to go to trial because you would have to prove those things like that, having a valid Alabama license and not being under suspension. Those are things that you can prove at trial, which having back-to-back driver's license suspension charges, if you plead to them, at least one of them is going to suspend your license.
Okay.
And the fines are hefty. So you would get a plea on the first one, and that's a $500 fine, which is $737.50. But the next one is going to be $1,000 in addition to that, and that's $1,420. So we're looking at almost $2,200.
Your Honor, is Mr. Resto represented on the particular case that we're referring to?
Well, I don't know.
Directly, if he's represented, because this is a serious matter.
I get you. So that's why I'm saying, Mr. Resto, you have representation. I can allow you to be represented on both cases, and they can help you work this out. But understand
well, I was already represented by Lister and Holt, and we kind of been going back and forth with the district attorney's office for a while, and they've been giving me recommendations, and I still didn't take it, but they've been giving me recommendations. I don't know what's changed, but it definitely wasn't $2,000.
Talk to your attorney and let them tell you what the recommendation they have on the table, okay? Because the recommendation, if you're represented, even if you're only represented on one case, the rec is probably going to come to your attorney.
Okay, now, if I enter like an oral motion of dismissal based on constitutional grounds, are you standing on your constitutional oath?
Okay, I'm not sure what that is. So I have taken an oath to uphold the Constitution and to make sure that I treat people as the law would direct me to do so. So,
well, I asked this question previously when I was in your courtroom one day in regards to the right to travel under the 14th Amendment, stating that citizens do not need a permit to travel with a horse-drawn carriage, wagon, or automobile without interference by police. And I was on a public highway actually when I got pulled over.
Okay, so that's not actually in the Constitution.
And I don't believe right to travel when the 14th Amendment was ratified.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
I just wanted to point out to the court that automobiles hadn't been invented when the 14th Amendment was ratified. That
yeah, it says automobile, horse-drawn wagon, or carriage.
Okay,
so an automobile is not necessarily a car; it's a household good. It's just a form of transportation. It doesn't matter if it's an automobile, horse-drawn wagon, or a carriage, because it's still a form of transportation, and citizens have the right to travel without interference by police. So I don't even know how the police are even allowed to interfere with travel when I'm not using my vehicle for commerce.
Your Honor,
it's totally private household good.
Okay, so Mr. Resto, if somebody drove 100 miles an hour into the back of your vehicle and killed your a family member, would you want the police to interfere?
That's murder. I mean, that's if someone got killed.
But they're traveling. You can't interfere with somebody traveling.
No, I mean, you can't. It's stating that a police just can't interfere with your traveling, like pulling you over for a traffic violation or a tag.
But you want them to interfere if somebody.
Now, if you murder somebody because
say you don't murder them. Say you just hurt them. Say you just damaged the vehicle. You don't want the police to interfere.
No, because that's when it almost becomes like an accident or a crime or whatnot. So the police can. That's not really an interference. An interference with your traveling. Not an interference when two citizens engage in an accident. It's interfering with you just traveling, simply traveling. Now, police officers, as far as public servants, they have a duty to serve to the people. So if a car accident occurs, then, of course, public servants, as far as ambulance, as far as firemen, they would come to the scene just as a service. But for you to just interfere in my traveling is actually a violation of the Constitution.
Well, sir, the Constitution and the cases that have come out of the constitutional jurisprudence allow cities and states and municipal organizations to regulate travel for the benefit of the citizens. So they can put reasonable regulations on travel, meaning you can have a license. They can grant you the privilege of having a license to drive. They can regulate how your license is seen. If you don't have a license or if your license is suspended, they can intervene to take your license away or your privilege to drive away. It is a crime. You can be convicted of not driving under a proper license. So the government is allowed to intervene in a lot of ways with people traveling. So I'm not sure where this information comes from, but there's a lot of stuff on the internet about traveling and the 14th Amendment and horse and buggies and even maritime law. But
I mean, an automobile was actually created before a driver's license was ever created. So people was actually operating their case pamphlets where people was actually operating vehicles before a driver's license ever became. That's actually, you guys are actually a conflict of interest, actually, as far as you being in cahoots with the DMV. That's a totally separate entity.
Okay, and for some reason, Mr. Resto, do you want to resolve the case because it's not
I want to resolve the case. I disagree with the fine amount because it changed. I would make an offer like I can do $1,000, maybe 12-month probation. But $2,000, that's excessive.
Mr. Resto, we're not negotiating. Those are statutory fines, meaning they're written into the law. I can't even change them.
Can I make a counter offer to the state and say it's $1,000? No, I did do time in jail. If the state would see that.
That's why I'm saying that you may want to speak with an attorney because certain things that they can negotiate, I can't change the statute. I can't change what's written in it. But they can negotiate, and if the solicitor wants to give you credit for time in jail in lieu of the fine, those are things that they can do that I can't do.
Yeah. So I would ask to the district attorney, knowing that I did serve some days in jail, can you guys lower the fine and I just go ahead and end this case right now? I can do $1,000. I got $1,000 right now.
Mr. Resto, so that's a conversation that you need to have with them directly without me being present, number one. Number two, the reason I keep saying you might want to go through your attorney is because they can explain to you what is already on the table and how that may or may not change, okay?
What's on the table now?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I would rather you have that conversation in a breakout room with the attorney who's assigned to your case and with the state as opposed to here in the main room. One, because I have other cases that need to be addressed, and two, because that's not information I need to hear.
Okay, is it anything I can do to get this case resolved now? Because it's been lingering on.
I'm
my
telling
head
you what to do,
for
but
years.
you're not listening, Mr. Resta. Mr.
I
Resto,
mean, today, like, I want to resolve this today.
I get that you want to resolve it today, and I'm telling you what to do, but you're not listening to me. I said you can go into a breakout room with your attorney, and the attorney and you can discuss what's already on the table, and then if your attorney wishes to speak with the state to clarify anything, they can do that too. But you're not going to get it resolved by going back and forth with me because there's stuff I cannot do.
Okay, just tell the state that I'll take their recommendation. I'll just pay the $2,000. If they can give me 12 months to pay it off. And
Okay,
if I pay it off early, if my probation can be terminated, that would be great.
Okay, so I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Mr. Taylor, and I'm going to let you and Mr. Taylor and Mr. Kamani. I'm going to put Mr. Kamani in there because he represents you on one of the cases. So that way he can explain, or if anything Mr. Taylor says doesn't make sense to you, Mr. Kamani can explain it.
I'll take the recommendation you state as far as, $2,000.
I didn't state a recommendation is what I'm telling you. I explained what the law says. That was not a recommendation.
Okay.
I just know that it wasn't what you said because there's a certain minimum in the statute, and that's what I was explaining to you.
Okay.
I'm
tired of fighting.
I got you. Yes, Mr. Taylor?
Before we go to the breakout room, can we address Mr. Ware's case because that will be resolved quickly and allow him to?
Yes, Mr. Taylor. Go ahead. For Mr. Elijah Ware. And the last case that we have is Navarrete.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Resto. Is that him, Judge? Yeah, I believe so. Hold on, Mr. Resto. Let me get Mr. Kamani to Mr. Navarrete, and then I'll come back to you, okay? All right, so Mr. Kamani and Mr. Navarrete, I'll put you in breakout room number 1. Mr. Resto, it's my understanding that you and Mr. Castaneda parted ways with respect to him representing you. Can you hear me, sir? Am I frozen again? No. Yeah, I hear you, Mr. Resto. I think I was frozen for a moment. So it's my understanding that you and Mr. Castaneda have parted ways with respect to your case?
Yeah. Did he file a motion to withdraw?
Yeah. Okay. Did you want to go forward without an attorney representing yourself?
Yeah, it seems like the attorneys that the state appoints me, they have a very hard time of listening to their clients, what they have to say. I had a conversation with him for maybe 5 minutes, and he was very wanted to do what he wanted to do. He didn't want to hear what I had, but he was just telling me I was raising concerns about the state came off of my bond, and I was trying to figure out why he came off my bond when I showed up for court. I gave him no reason to come off my bond, and he said.
So when you say come off your bond, the bonding company has to do that, not the state. So I'm not sure.
Well, they filed a motion to come off my bond. That's what he stated.
Okay, is that free at last or Atlanta Clayton bonding?
No, not free at last. It was.
I have that you.
He stated that the state filed a motion with your court, stating that they wanted to come off my bond to where, basically, I would have warrant on me. Okay,
Miss John B.A., do you have any outstanding bench warrants for Mr. Resto? I don't recall signing any, but I may have.
Did the state file any motions in regards to that?
No.
Okay, so just Your Honor, I didn't know that he was back. I'd already given the file to my assistant. She said she had just sent off the bench warrant to you as well, I think. So,
I didn't think. Okay. All right, so yeah, Mr. Resto, you're here, so I haven't signed anything yet.
Okay. Does the state have any intention on trying to come off my bond?
No. So, sir, they don't come off your bond unless you fail to appear. My understanding is you had a medical excuse for being late today, so you contacted
Ms. Val. I'm actually still at the hospital. I just had a minor surgery.
Okay, so Ms. Val has allowed you to come on to the call today because she knew that you had a medical issue. So we can deal with your case today, or we can give you a continuance until December 6th, but nobody's coming off the bond, and the bench warrant will not be signed.
Okay, I want to handle this today. It's kind of been lingering over my head for some years now. I'm really tired of it. And but I hear that the state is trying to give me 10 days in jail, and that would absolutely ruin my business, my life. I have a 2-year son. I'm a single father, and
But listen to me carefully. So here's the thing about at least one of the charges that you have on both cases, which is the driving on suspended or revoked license. That's what we call a statutory charge, which means that the penalty is set in the law. So the state can't really deviate from that. So if it asks for 10 days, then it's mandatory. And you got two of those charges, which is why I keep giving you counsel, because they know how to explain it and they know what to request for the best effect in your case. The only thing I can tell you is that with you having a driving on a suspended or revoked license on the case, the 2019 case, and then another one on the 2020 case, then what's going to happen, generally, what I've seen happen in the past, not particularly with you, is that if you plead a NOLO to one case, you still have to plead a guilty to the other. That'll still be a second in 5 years or more if you have other driving on suspended or revoked license. And the statute is set. So the first time is, I believe, 12 months to serve 48 hours, a $500 fine. They can give you credit for time served or suspend the service of the 48 hours if they wish to. The second time is 12 months to serve 10 days, then a $1,000 fine. The third time is 12 months, 10 days mandatory. So you have to spend the 10 days in jail, and then a $1,500 fine. And the fourth time is a felony. So have I explained it properly?
Yeah, but see, Judge, in my situation is okay. I got the documentation from the Alabama motor vehicle department. See, okay. I'm actually an Alabama citizen.
Hold on. Let me put you in a breakout room with me and the state, so we can hear what you're saying, but we're not putting it all out there in case you want to make a different decision. Okay.
Okay. Well, I have no absolute reason to lie, and I really believe.
No, it's not that, sir. This is what I would if you had an attorney who was representing you. Okay, so this is called a pre-trial.
Yeah, but I just honestly believe that when you're just being truthful, there's really no need for attorneys when you're just being honest about your situation.
Okay, and that's fine. All I'm saying is I'm giving you the opportunity for a pre-trial. That's what I would do for anybody, attorney or not. Okay, so Ms. Baker, is this your case or is this Ms. Janvier's case?
I believe this is Ms. Janvier, but I would like to be added to the breakout room.
Okay, no problem. So Ms. Janvier is in breakout room number 5. I'm going to put Mr. Resto in breakout room number 5. Then Ms. Baker, I'll put you in breakout room number 5, and then I'll join. All right, so Mr. Resto, if you'll join, and I'll be in there in a moment. Okay, so Mr. Resto's there. All right, everybody's there. I'm joining. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have been wonderfully patient. I know Mr. Francis, Mr. Dickerson. Oh, okay.
His case is going to be no brust.
See, Mr. Bannister, how your patience has paid off. Thank you, sir.
I just want to confirm that he didn't have any bench warrant or anything.
So I did have I don't know who I need to speak to about this entire situation.
Okay, so first let me explain what's happening with the entire situation. It's going to be dismissed.
Well, no, I got that part, but that's kind of where, like, I'm having issues with. Well, not having issues, but I knew that would happen. This kind of, like, snowballed into a very negative thing. I never did anything wrong in the first place. I had a physical license. I told him I had a license. I had to pay a large amount of money for a very small fine, and it really ruined a lot of things for me, and I want to know who I need to talk to about that.
Okay, first things first. So you haven't paid a fine, but you did pay a bond. And what you can do is get your paperwork from the clerk's office and take it over to the jail to get to receive your bond back. But even if you go without your paperwork, my understanding is the jail's on the same computer system as us. They can pull it up that your case has been resolved, and so they'll refund your bond. And I believe they keep a small administrative fee, but I don't know how much that is, so I can't tell you that. So that's one, getting your bond back. You can do that with the sheriff's office as of give me a day to make sure I've signed everything, because I can't sign and manage all of the cases. So as soon as we get offline, I go ahead and start signing stuff. So try getting your money back tomorrow from the sheriff's office. You can start that process. That's number one. Number two, if you had a negative interaction with the officer who gave you the citation, then you need to go to that agency. But please make sure you understand that we got like 14 different jurisdictions with police enforcement in Clayton County. So it can either be the Clayton County Police, Clayton County Sheriffs, or one of the police officers from a municipality. So if it was, just know which agency the officer was from. And then you can go to that agency and you can make a citizen's complaint regarding what happened during your citation and arrest, okay?
Okay. So pretty much just go to the sheriff, contact an attorney of my own, and then see about getting this taken care of. Because essentially, I was kidnapped and robbed, so now I have to pay another fee to get my money back from when I did nothing wrong.
So Mr. Bannister, you misunderstand me. The bond that you paid to the sheriff, you can go get that back today.
I stay in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, well, you can call the sheriff's office. If you call them, they will make arrangements to return your bond. I think they send you a check or whatever, but you initiate it, and they can look on the computer at their desk to show that your case has been resolved, that you did appear, and then they can release your bond. Okay. So as far as the money on your bond, that part you can take care of by phone.
Well, so I had already done that before. I spoke to you guys today because I had already anticipated what's going on. I knew I did nothing wrong. But my whole thing is this really took a negative effect on my life, and I did nothing wrong. And I'm supposed to just take it on the chin like it's nothing. But if I did something wrong,
you're not. But here's the thing. If you believe that the officer was wrong to arrest you, you have to address that with his agency. Because by the time we get it, all we get is paper. And so whatever that officer put on paper or whatever happened below in the magistrate court, whether it was a preliminary hearing or whether it was waived up to us, all we know is the paper. We don't see the officer. We don't know what he did or did not do other than what was written on the paper. So as far as that, it gets to this point where the adjudication happens. Either it gets dismissed, as your case did, or it gets to a trial, or you enter a plea. So you have those options. But if you're dissatisfied with how the case came to be in the court, then you might need to address that with the police agency, because what we get is paper, so we don't get to interview the officer.
How do I find out the agency? Like I said, I'm from Chicago. I was down there working for a prestigious artist, and this actually stopped my entire job, period. It took me to pay money back and lose money. I just want to know how. I'm not trying to give you a hard time by far, but I really
have to do with the Clayton County Police Department.
Clayton County Police Department. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm writing this down.
Christopher Davidson.
Police Department. I'm sorry, I'm writing at the same time. Christopher
Davidson. Is that correct, Ms. Holman?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay.
Davidson.
All right. And if you go on their website for the Clayton County Police Department, they have each of the division captains or the sector, the people, whoever's in charge of the division. And that person is likely in the patrol division. So you want to start there.
Okay. So now just call tomorrow morning to see about my check to get my money sent to me.
Yeah, just call the sheriff's office.
Call the sheriff's office.
Yeah, it's already gonna be in the computer. I'm signing everything this afternoon. So they'll get they look at the same stuff we look at, so they should be able to see it in the computer that it's taken care of. But don't do it until tomorrow because I got a bunch of stuff to sign from today.
Yes, ma'am. All right. I guess I'll call tomorrow, and I should receive the paperwork from you guys in the mail as far as what's going on with the address on file.
The what?
I said I should receive whatever you guys were talking about as far as the dismissal in the mail from the address on file. Should you guys have my address? I'm texting her right now. Okay, thank you guys. I didn't mean to be rude, nothing like that.
No, you weren't being rude, Mr. Bannister, but I just wanted to make sure we went through every step and we answered all of your questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Good luck, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Bannister, I forwarded you the disposition, okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bannister.
Yes, ma'am.